Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIII. Let's claim our rewards for destroying some things with a robot for some reason. You get some pocket change and a spark ring. And, if you know anything about Final Fantasy, you know that that ring is going to be useful for the upcoming boss.
Hope we find another one of those things.
Yeah, and by the way, spoilers, you never find another one of those things, contrary to Hope's hope. But yeah, even though a lot of stuff is missing from Final Fantasy XIII, they still do have a lot of kind of classic Final Fantasy elements. It's just presented in a very different and not always better way. In fact, I don't think there's anything in this game that I could say is better than anything in a previous Final Fantasy. But I don't know. Yeah, and there's a second spark ring. But yeah, basically, with that spark ring you just got now, that's the only one you can't miss. The other one will only appear if you destroy... I don't know what scores that with that last minigame, but if you don't do well on it, then you won't get the spark ring, and then that means you'll have one less spark ring. And you have 2 party members, do the math. Now, as Lightning is your primary character right now, you're going to want to protect them, so you want to protect Lightning from some lightning. So, yeah. And now, here are some special enemies. Or more specifically, together, they are special. See, a Psychon Tracker combined with an Ulan has a brand new ability. The Tracker can set a targeting point, which the Ulan will then target with guided missiles. And if your characters are near it, it'll do a ton of damage. The Tracker itself, the beacon I should say, has its own health bar, which will gradually decrease. It'll take damage from the explosion, I should say. So yeah, it's kind of neat actually. Like, that's actually kind of uncommon in Final Fantasy in general, having enemies work together. But I do like that. Like, it's kind of annoying because it's a very powerful move and your characters aren't smart enough to move away from the giant glowing beacon, but yeah. And it made it worth showing enemies twice, so yeah. Once you get rid of the Psychon Trackers, it becomes just like a regular Ulan shooting its machine guns at you. It must be really terribly programmed if it can only shoot guided missiles at a beacon and otherwise can't fire people. It'd be an unstoppable force of destruction if it could actually fire those missiles on its own. Uh-oh, long ominous path. Cutscene! That was actually kind of pathetic.
I mean, you're a liability.
Like, how do you trip on something that big?
What?
I guess he's supposed to be really exhausted, but he's clearly not, so I don't know. And then Lightning has a heart attack.
Take me with you.
Enough.
Too much cholesterol.
Is against us. I can barely keep myself alive, let alone some helpless kid.
Hey, Lightning.
I don't
Hope keeps you alive. He's your white
You wanna
mage.
get tough?
You don't fuck with the white mage.
Do it on your own.
Yeah, this is how fal'cie heartburn works. And rose petals, and the figment for all the different trailers and stuff, because they had to have some sort of fancy thing to show off. Yes, meet Odin. Straight from Valhalla. He's very different from previous Odins that have appeared in Final Fantasy history. And he's just like the Shiva sisters that we faced before. You have to fill up the Gestalt gauge in order to beat him. These what Eidolon battles are really some of the best this game has to offer, because they're so different from every other type of battle. Now, the two primary ways to raise the Gestalt gauge for Odin here are to heal and to raise its chain gauge. So Ravagers and Medics, which just so happen to be both roles that Lightning and Hope happen to both excel in. Well, that's the thing, it's really more based on Hope's abilities. He's a very good Ravager and Medic. Lightning's just an okay Medic and a fairly decent Ravager. But yeah, keep healing each other while it's attacking, and then when it brings up Euler's, I don't know how to pronounce it, shield, then break out the double Ravagers and try and do as much damage as possible to really raise the chain gauge. Now this fight's actually probably going to be a bit tighter than the Shiva sisters, because with Snow, when you use the Sentinel, it would raise the Gestalt gauge quite a bit, but you don't really have anything like that now. It's just more a matter of just attrition in this case. But still. And it does do a fairly significant amount of damage, and you really should try and have the Spark Ring on him, because it does have lots of electrical attacks. It's a lightning-based thing. Gee, wonder if that's in any way related to the character it came from. Yeah, another thing worth doing is having Hope work as a synergist to protect your characters with like a shell spell or something like that. But it's not mandatory by any means, especially if you have the Spark Rings. But yeah, see, it's already almost completely done. And like I said before, the gauge is actually bigger than it looks in a weird way. Like, it looks like there's still a fair bit to go, but it's actually going to get filled really quickly. It's just weird like that. This music sounds very familiar. It actually sounds a lot like the Aeon battle music from Final Fantasy X. And there you go. Odin has been captured. He transforms into a horse, which is a really weird bit of crossing mythology. They got like rose petals for like death, because Odin's signature ability is Zentetsuken, which is basically the ability to kill enemies instantly. And then it turns into a horse, which is, I believe, supposed to be Odin's horse in the mythology. But now the horse is also Odin, and yeah. But yeah, more significantly, Lightning gets her extra ATB gauge. So she now joins the high-level group of people who have a nice, awesome, high ATB level. Because like I said before, the more ATB segments you have, the faster it charges up, so the more attacks you can pull off. And plus there's also abilities that require several ATB segments. So, yeah. It's actually, it basically makes Lightning even better, because, you know, everyone has to love Lightning. And little things like this bother me in a story. When Lightning says, I must have hit my head on the purge train, this isn't a world where magic isn't unproven. It's like, this is like, why would she think, oh, this is all just too crazy, even though Eidolons and fal'cie and Pulse and all that kind of stuff, magic even, are all established parts of this world. And you'll especially see more of this in a later level, but I'll talk about that when I talk about that. But yeah, it's supposed to point out how extreme and silly this situation is, but nothing about it is alien. So yeah, it just kind of bugs me, that kind of thing. But yeah, Odin himself, actually, that battle, if you look at his attack patterns, he actually almost completely focuses on attacking Hope, which you might actually, like, it does work as symbolism with like how Lightning was getting agitated with Hope, and it kind of makes it seem like maybe Odin was just basically summoned to solve Lightning's problem, just in a very aggressive way. A way that a lot of fans would actually probably be very happy it happened, because there's such irrational hatred for these characters. Yeah, now we actually get a new ability also we can summon. But yeah, basically Odin was there to teach Lightning about teamwork, I guess. But yeah, the thing about Eidolons is it basically signifies when a character's arc is over. So yeah, Lightning, main character, problem solved. So yeah, summons are actually pretty different in this game too, actually. First of all, what happens is they'll replace your party members and attack alongside you with some fairly powerful moves. If you die, actually, they'll use full heal on you to get you back to full health, which is really nice. And they have a constantly decreasing gauge that serves as their health, and also physical attacks and stuff will decrease that gauge as well. Once it's gone, they'll just leave. So what you want to do is try and raise a gauge, which happens to be the same gauge you use to beat the Eidolons in the regular fights. So like, for example, raising the chain gauge or healing someone will raise Odin's gauge. The higher the gauge, the more time you get to spend in this upcoming mode, where you have 4 select moves plus a finishing move called, in this case, Zentetsuken. And yeah, so you'll get more points that you can spend on these other attacks to do tons of damage with no fear of repercussion to raise up the chain gauge before finally using the finishing move Zentetsuken. You can auto-gestalt with this, and I don't think there's any real benefit to not doing that until late in the game. But yeah, I didn't get to show it there, unfortunately. This battle is specifically set up to make it so that you can finish off with Zentetsuken, but I unfortunately didn't do that for some stupid reason. I'm sorry, I'll show it later, I swear. But yeah, Eidolons aren't really that useful, but they do have purposes, so I'll give them that. Plus, if you need a quick spot heal, then they're really handy for that too. There's a lot of information condensed in a very short time, I'm sorry. I'll try and cover a bit more, because obviously there's more Eidolons to come. We've only got them for 2 characters so far. We can't have non-symmetrical gameplay. Aw, Sleeping Hope. And heartwarming music. You know, that's, I don't know, just doesn't seem, hasn't been that long since his mom died, and yet he's already having like benign dreams about her. He should be traumatized. But yeah, Lightning's nothing close to a mother figure for Hope. And besides, all this character development gets thrown out the door in the sequel, so whatever. See you next time.